All right, thank you guys for sticking around, and thank you guys again at home for joining us again. This is KSS Shalom's annual congregational meeting. Do we have an agenda? Here's the agenda. Here it is. Open meeting. Okay. Take a paperclip off. I can do that. I think you already told me that. It's my failure to follow instructions. It's just like me, though. Fantastic. Open meeting, prayer. Welcome. I did that out of order. Let's pray. Actually, let's officially open the meeting. Since this is our annual meeting, we need to do things according to order. So I would like to officially open the meeting 124 on December 11th, 2021. 2021. What? Oh, Tim seconds it. Great. All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Let's pray. Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, our Father in heaven. Lord, thank you for bringing us together as a body, as a family, as we were talking about earlier today, to do kingdom work here until our King returns. Father, help us to keep our eyes on you. Help us to receive wisdom from above and not focus on wisdom from the world. And Lord, may all the things that we do today be glorifying to you and in accordance with your will. If there's anything that we're doing that is not in accordance with your will, Father, show us. Even as we're speaking them, you can still show them to us. And Father, may we be willing to correct ourselves to your path and not try and force you onto ours. So thank you, Father, for everything you do. Thank you for this meeting, for these people that are here. And Lord, we ask that you superintend over it. In the name of your Son, Yeshua, our Messiah. Amen. Anyway, thank you guys again. This is the official welcome. I want to introduce you guys to the board and the Shamashim. I am, for those of you who don't know, I'm Rabbi Neil. I'm the elder, and I'm the president of the board of KSS Shalom. There are 3 other board members. They are non-elder directors. And we have, first is Bob Wallace. He is the secretary of the congregation. Then we have Gina Tay Thomas, who is the treasurer of the congregation. And our 4th is not present today. He was not feeling well. That's Craig Metzer. Hopefully he is watching from home. He is the 4th member of the board. Our Shamashim. Shamashim is the Hebrew word for deacons or servants. It's servants. The Greek word diakonos is the Greek word for servant, so we use the Hebrew shamash or shamashim. And our shamashim consist of Alejandro Pardo. He is in charge of our prayer ministry. Kim Saraski, she is in charge of the worship ministry and the women's ministry. Dawn, who is not here, but Tim is here, Petersburg. They are in charge of sound. And we also have, that's it. That's it. So that is your board and Shamashim. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce, again, Gina Tay Thomas to handle the presentation of our budget.
Our annual congregational meeting. So let's talk about money. Woo! Because again, we've been blessed. Adonai has seen us through another year. Just bear with me one sec. I just need to get to the pictures that you guys are looking at. And I know that mic is not quite near my mouth. I have a thing about that.
So just a little quick tutorial about the microphone. Make sure it's pointing right at your mouth, not down, not up, off to the side. It really does a really good job picking it up when you're actually speaking at it, or it's pointing in the near direction, okay? You help out the media team a lot when you do that.
Is that better? I feel like I'm performing. I think that's why I kind of stepped to the side. Let's see, 2021. I passed out the budget. Everyone has those little budget printouts that I passed out? Great. Okay, I'll put on my glasses so I can see what's going on here. Let's see that first page. This is going to be what's been spent so far this year. And I'm going to read some notes, and we can kind of go through some of the expenses on there. Ooh, these are tiny. Even with my glasses. Okay. Let's see. The 2021 budget, I do want to go into what's going to be happening in 2022. I'm going to go on my notes here, and then we can discuss what's going on with 2021. We expect our 2022 giving to increase as we gain more exposure with our online presence and advertising. Now, as you know, because of this whole pandemic, we've been really, really strong online. So it seems like that's going to be the ongoing trend. So we're definitely going to take advantage of that with our online presence, with advertising, and I'll go more into that in just a moment. Our project, let me go through the expenses, what we've done so far this year, okay? All right, it looks like, if you look on the sheet that I gave, there is a line with a balance brought forward. Those figures are coming from our checking account starting in December of 2020. And it goes for December, carry forward goes into January, January's carry forward goes into February, February into March, and so on. We don't have any December totals yet because obviously we're right in the middle of the month of December. We won't have those figures yet. So we're, based on our meeting and that it had to be completed today, we're going to stop and base our budget based on all of the up to November, what we know, what we do have that's come in and that has been spent already. The second line item, the budgeted 2021 income. Last year, when we had our meeting, we budgeted out $97,775. That was the projected budget from our meeting from 2020 for 2021. The annual monthly, the actual so far income that we've gotten in, it looks like it's $90,829.12. Is that what everyone's seeing? So we're pretty close to what we had actually projected for the 2021 budget. If you look straight across, what's coming in, the second line, that's all the income that's coming in from tithes and offerings, either in-house, PayPal, or mailed in. Each month, if you notice, there's a pretty consistent trend. Some months we had a little bit more than others if you go straight across. The average on the income that's coming in, the average monthly income that we are getting with our congregation is about $8,057 a month. That's the average giving that's coming in. So if you look at that, you look at the size of our congregation, online and that are here, God is really blessing our congregation. There's no doubt about it. We know that a lot of congregations did not survive. There are bigger congregations that are not being consistent with the monies that are being donated each month to take care of our expenses. So the average, again, it runs about $805.57. I'm on the second line, the budgeted, and what's coming in. And again, these are the actual figures that have been totaled. Oh yeah, thanks for making that a little bigger. I'm sorry, on these PowerPoints, these figures get a little low. Then we have balance plus income, the two figures added from the balance brought forward to what's coming in each month is added where it says balance plus income. If you look straight across, it's pretty consistent. Then we have our fixed expenses, We have our pastoral support. The average, it's about $60,000 a year. It's pretty consistent, about $5,000 a month. That's coming in each month, that goes out each month consistently for the pastoral support. And our rent, the first figures where it says budgeted amount, those are the budgeted amounts for the year, and then it's broken up by each month. Our rent runs about $1,800 a month. It equates to $21,600, so $1,800 a month straight across. That's what's going out for the rent. The rabbi and Robinson's phone that they use, it's their cell phone, it's about $2,800 a year, and each month what's being paid out, a couple of months it changed, I think based on usage or taxes. And again, these are the actual figures that came in. They're just rounded up to the nearest dollar. Rabbi conference attendance, this year he didn't get to attend any conferences, but we've allotted $1,008 for that. That's going to also roll into 2022. Rabbi's educational expense ongoing for the PhD program that he's doing. We've allotted $1,500 for that. He just used this year in the month of October about $900 of that, so that's going to carry over. The difference of that, what's that, $600, will carry over into the 2022 budget. We have liability insurance we have to pay annually for just liability insurance that we have for the congregation as a whole. It's about $1,372. It's a one-time payment. It's usually due in January. So we did pay it January of this year. I believe last year when we budgeted, we thought we had actually paid it, but we found out we didn't. We thought in 2020 that we had paid 2021's liability coverage, and we found out that we didn't, so we had to go ahead and pay that. We allotted $1,372. It was actually $1,396. We paid that in January. Power Church is our accounting software that we use when all the tithes and offerings come in. It gets entered into Power Church, and at the end of the year, I provide the taxable charity donations that were given out. That's done through Power Church. It costs us about $479 a year, so it's roughly about $40 a month on Power Church. Now, if you recall last year's meeting, I think we were using QuickBooks, which was like $70 a month. When we switched to Power Church, we obviously reduced the cost for us, our accounting software, because it is an online software. So we get updates automatically with it being an online software. We have the Messianic Times that we advertise our congregation in. It runs about $252. That was the budget for last year. That was paid, it's semi-annually, so it actually gets paid twice a year. It was $240 in March, and then $240 in November. And then wing clips, you know those nice videos we get to enjoy during, before Rabbi does the message, he has a video that kind of coincides with the message. That's wing clips. That runs $192 a year, basically $16 a month. And obviously we'll be using that into next year. Because we have PayPal Dropbox for recordings and things that we do for the videos and what have you, the PayPal Dropbox, it originally, we had it budgeted for $288. It was $23.98, and it changed in October. It went up to $25.42. But $24 to $25 is not that big of a difference with the Dropbox. Then we have our audio, the use of the music ministry that gets put on display every Shabbat. There's a cost for that because there's licensing that goes along with us having the music. That we estimated $335 for this year, and it actually was $346. We paid that in April. Our website, that new website that we have that everyone is able to get online, we had to update our website with, again, our online presence. The website we allotted for this year was $2,000. We had to redo the website and then the monthly maintenance of the website. The website was actually redone in May of this year, and the maintenance of it is $250 per month, and that seems to probably be, it will probably be the same going into next year. It's $250 a month after we actually did the initial setup, and the cost for it was $750. We allotted for a miscellaneous expense category for anything that's not, that would come up that we didn't allot for in our budget. So we created a miscellaneous expense account, about $1,500, and again, we'll do one going into 2022. We had some small expenses. It looks like it went a little over $1,500, but we're okay, and I'll explain why we're okay on that. And we still have an outreach ministry in Shabbat School whenever we're eventually able to start that at some point, but we didn't allot for it for last year, obviously for various reasons with COVID, so we didn't really have a budget for it. If you turn to the next page, our LLC is renewed annually. The cost is about $230 each year when we renew our KSS LLC through the state of Virginia. That was renewed in June, the $230. The next line, our bank fees and PayPal fees. Well, we really didn't have any bank fees per se. We didn't have any overdrafts or anything like that, or NSFs, or even any returned checks from anyone. So basically, we allotted $1,400 for that. That also includes what PayPal charges us. They charge a certain percentage when people use PayPal. If you go straight across, that figure varies because it all depends on how much money is taken in from PayPal. So in January, it was $125. If you look in July, it was $97. So that varies. And then so far up to November was like $88 for that. ONEG kitchen supplies, since again, we did not have ONEG for 2021, we allotted $33 just to cover like maybe coffee supplies and what have you. So I think in September and October, if Rabbits and Kim had bought some coffee supplies that we needed, cups and stuff like that, and we still have some money left over for that. Guest worship, ministry honorariums, we allotted $360 for that. We did have 2 people come in and speak this year. In March, we gave $150 honorarium for that speaker, and then in September, we also gave $150. Then if we go to office supplies, we allotted about $12. That may be for stamps or mailing. I believe we didn't use any of the $12 for the office supply. We didn't need any this year. Advertising, last year, as I said, when we spoke about our budget, we needed to make sure we had enough to cover our advertising. The advertising budget, we're going to take advantage of Google, all of the online presence, the Google exposure. We didn't use it this year, but we're really going to be using it into next year with that advertising. If you know, with Google and any of the online presence with our website, YouTube, Facebook, we're also talking about a phone app, and then advertising really, really heavy for the Passover that's coming up next year. We're allotting, we didn't use the $5,000 for the advertising because we really didn't know what was going to be happening all of this year with COVID, whether or not we can have the services or in-house services. But now, since this is the standard, really with the advertising online and in-house, we're really going to focus more on our online presence and take advantage of those tools that are available to increase our presence so people can hear the messages that are going forth in our congregation, and that we can reach people. A lot of people are still not coming into services, but people are watching online. So it's important that we put the money out there to make our presence professional and people really pay attention to what our congregation is doing. So we've allotted for that. If you look at where it has all of our total expenses, that kind of changes obviously through the month because of some variances on some of the expenses that were done. Let's see, we have special holiday expenses. We have the Passover. We didn't do the Passover. We had Sukkot And I think we did some stuff for Yom Kippur. And we also had the special stuff, the appreciation that we did for Rabbi Neal is in those total expenses. On that second page where it says continue. Now, I do, and then if you look, Bob created a beautiful graph. This is the graph. For those, you probably have it in black and white where it shows what our expenses were each month. Our target expenses, our income, our beginning balances, for those who like graphs. Let's see. What I wanted to say about our projected 2020 budget. We go to that? Okay. Our projected 2020 budget average is based on the 2021 income from giving from January to November. Remember, I said I only can include 11 months because we're still in the middle of December. The average that we've gotten in as a congregation of this size from January to November right now was $99,086.28, which equates to a monthly average giving of about $82.57.19. So that average comes from dividing the 11 months instead of 12 months into that dollar amount that's coming in thus far up to November. Now, with that being said, and all of the changes that are going, and we do have people coming into the congregation and people that may be leaving out of the congregation, so we may lose some of those tithes and offerings, we took a more conservative figure for our budget going into 2022. The more conservative figure would be about $96,000. That's going to come in. It's a reasonably projected budget, more realistic without taking the exact figures because of those variances in offerings and tithes and offerings that may be coming in. We also projected a possible 5% increase on expenses, and the reason being is because of COVID, you know, every place that we go, things have gone up. So we allotted for a reasonable 5% increase in our budget to accommodate any extra on costs that we didn't calculate in our initial budget. With the reasonable 5% increase on expenses, because of vendor services and supplies, a lot of businesses are demonstrating a COVID-19 deficit recoupment. You know it everywhere we go, from the gas to the grocery stores. With that 5% recoupment that we included in the budget, we'll budget for 2022 of $101,000. That's going to be our budget. Again, the 5% increase is it's a reasonable increase for expenses because of the pandemic. And as things go, we'll see how things go into the next maybe 3 to 6 months going into 2022, what that's going to look like. But I think we did a reasonable estimate of increasing the budget from $96K into 2022 to $101. That gave that little cushion on that. And let's see, on this page here. So, if originally, like I said, the average monthly donations for 2020 of this year, based on an average of what's come in so far, again, was $857,000. Our targeted monthly budget for 2021 was $833 or $100,000 annually. That was the actual budget going into 2021. We allotted for $100,000 annually. The average monthly expenses, $7,887. In November's end of month balance in our checking account, and like I said, Adonai has been really good to our congregation. As of when we did this presentation, the end of month balance for November was $16,171. That's what we have in reserves on the November end of month balance. The current reserve balance in the account, now the November one was based on the bank statement, $16,171, but our current reserve balance in our account as of this presentation was $17,764. So we're pretty liquid. We've got a lot of reserves if something comes up. So like I said, you can see in the numbers, Adonai has really blessed us on this. Do we have a question? Yes. Oh, actually, that's an error. No. No, we are liquid. That should, okay, if that confused, it's not. That's actually what we had in the bank account when we did the presentation. We're at 17,764. Thanks for bringing that up, Tim. I hope no one else was confused on that, but that's what we have. We're good. We are definitely set up for if we have, like we were talking about with famine, this is the good time for us to keep reserves and keep building them up. So something must be coming because the Lord has really got our account set. So that's a blessing. We are below our targeted budget, but above average expenditures. Again, that accounted for some of the change with the increases in some of the stuff that we get because of, like I said, businesses are making up for COVID. And like I said, we're seeing, I don't know how long they're going to keep doing that, but you know, things cost a little bit more than it did last year because everyone's out and people are spending. So they're definitely making up for that. So with that being said, we have enough reserves to handle a short month. We've reduced expenses as much as possible because we're only really dealing with what we're actually using right now and what we're the expenses that are going out that the congregation actually needs to expend out. One of our strategies is we're going to reinforce and advance online presence through advertising. And that was, again, for the $5,000 we didn't spend this year. We're still going to allot for the $5,000 going into 2022 because we really, really need to focus on online presence since that's where a lot of people are going online. They're looking at congregations. I talked to different people who just have actually looked for this congregation because they're looking for Messianic teaching because it's so important right now. So our online presence, we're going to talk with the gentleman that I believe helped with our website to really get our strategy going. We were talking about having an app, a KSS app, where it can take contributions as well and direct people to our website, direct them to the recorded services or the live services. If you go to the next slide, we were talking about that 2022 budget. So our proposed, again, annual budget, we've allotted from the $96,000 to the 5% increase, $101,000 for this year. The proposed monthly is going to be about $8,416. And if you look down what our fixed expenses are, we've got the rabbi support, the rent, the phone that Rabbi-Sin and Rabbi have, their mobile phone. We're still allotting for the conference of $1,008. Our insurance, we increased that, rounded it up to about $1,400 because we're already at $1,392 what we paid this year. So I'm figuring that's going to probably go up too. The Power Church, which is the accounting software, the $479. Advertising in the Messianic Times, the $240. The video clips, $192. As far as we know, that's still $16 a month. The audio music, $346. Basically, we base it on what we paid this year. The miscellaneous expense is still there of the $1,500. Dropbox, like I said, that's for us saving recordings or when we have messages and whatever else we need to keep and save in our library. Again, the advertising, just in general, the $5,000 that we've allotted for the year. Rabbi's education, we're allowing another $1,500 this year, plus he has the $600 left over from this year that's going to carry over into next year, so that's where the $2,100 is coming from. Website update and expense, we've allotted for the $3,000. That's for any website changes and anything else that may come up that has to do with our website. Then we also allotted the little Minch on the bench. We've allotted that in our budget for the $10, I think it's Starbucks gift cards, $10, so about $120 a year on that. The variable expenses are legal. That's for redoing the LLC each year. We've allotted an additional for the ONEC, since it looks like we may start doing that. We've allotted at least $350 to cover the expenses on the ONEC, the coffee, the cups, and supplies. Guest worship leaders, we still left that at about $360 going into next year. And any office supplies and expenses, we left that at $12. We have, like I said, we haven't really spent anything on the office supplies. We haven't had to buy any paper or stamps or anything like that, but that's there just in case we do. So total expenses going into 2022, it looks like $100,642, which is just under what we budgeted of the $101,000. And I believe that is all. You have any questions? Yes. When we have the meeting, we do the budget, and then what we're gonna do, am I too close now?
No, just for anyone who's asking questions,
Uh-huh.
just repeat the question or have them come up and ask.
Okay,
Because we don't have their voice on.
okay. How about I do this? There we go. All right, we have a question. Go ahead now.
Thank you. Basically, the question is the procedure. So before we approve the budget, could we propose ideas that it might affect the budget? Is possible, or we should do it after the budget? It's
What our normal process is, as a board, I'm sorry. As a board, we meet and we go through the budget and create 1 and 2 each year. Once that's done and we've agreed to the budget, then we present it to the members of the congregation. And at that point, if there's any questions or changes that need to be made, because you guys are ultimately gonna say, yeah, we agree with you on the budget. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, sure.
So I have two things to propose or to mention. The first one is if we can have access or can give access to CELL, which is no cost for transferring money, CELL, C-E-L-L-E, for the donations, for the... It's a C-E... yeah, CELL. It's actually in most of the banks now, and it's totally free of cost instead of PayPal, that is their charge.
Yeah, when we had originally discussed that because we were looking for ways to possibly just get online monies and donations and not have to pay for it. Zelle only works for businesses. I'm sorry, for personal, not business accounts, which is stupid, but maybe at some point they may change that, because that was why I do our tithes and offerings, we do it as a bill pay so that we're not incurring any additional costs if I do it through PayPal. But Zelle, that was one of my questions too, and I found out it's only for personal.
Thank you. Okay, and the other one is, I would like to propose that we have a section in the website where we can have the people putting their praying requests, private or public, and because I'm not saying that at this moment I'm not okay with the system that we're using now, but basically we're using my email on my phone. We're also rabbis, but as long as the website is the center of communications and interaction of the members of the congregation, I believe that will be a good addition. And also we may help or make the people bring in more praying requests in that way, so we can take care of them. And private or public, the privates, I propose that will be handled by the rabbi and certain people of the members, and the public ones, we can leave it there, and we can give them due dates for things like that. So that may affect the budget if we're going to add something like that.
We're going to deal with those questions when we get to the app. We're going to be possibly instituting a KSS app. There will be a section available for prayer requests there. So everything will be funneled through there. It will be also supported by the website as well. So there's an overhaul that's getting ready to come, that we're taking everything to the next step to put everything in a central location, because everything is, like you said, all over the place. It's in multiple places. And yes, we're going to work on that. I don't know how that's going to affect the budget, but we did allocate money towards an app already, so it may be a process. So just be patient.
So what I'd like to say about that is that those are great suggestions. You know, as Gina mentioned, the Zelle we've looked into just right now won't work for us. We can always look into other ways. There are also ways around the fees from PayPal. I'm pretty sure Bob figured out how to do it without fees if you set it up using a credit card or something like that.
Here. Got another mic? Okay. Yep.
Hold on, I got unmuted now. All right, go ahead.
All right, just in a nutshell, when you use PayPal, when you choose to insert a credit card into the PayPal payment mechanism, at the end of the day, you make the choice to pay the PayPal fee. So if you're paying a $100 donation, you will actually pay $105 or whatever that is on your credit card, rather than the fee being deducted from your actual donation if you do it, from your bank account. So when you choose credit card, bottom line, it means that you make the choice and they will add it on. You pay that surcharge yourself.
Yep.
Okay, so the way I understand, you can hold on to that over there. The way I understand that then is you get to choose as a contributor to KSS whether you are going to have us incur the fee or whether you are going to incur the fee if you pay by credit card. So that's an option. Another option is the way that Stanley and Gina Tate do it. They send us a check, a live check from their bank directly every month, however you set it up.
Yes, online bill pay.
Yeah, and then, and that comes in the mail. So that's another way to do it. Another way to do it is to come and bring your check and write a check and put it in the box.
Yep.
Okay? These are all different ways you can do it. There are, I'm sure, are other ways we can do it electronically that don't incur fees, but those are ways we can look into. So the Zelle concept is a good thought. As far as the prayer requests on the website, we've already built into the budget, because this is a budget conversation. Mm-hmm. We've already built into into the budget a website update of about $3,000.
Plus the advertising.
Not to mention the $5,000 in advertising, which is going to go towards the app. So there are all kinds of ways that we can do that. When we put a committee together to decide what kind of updates we want for the app and for the website, that's something that we can certainly take into consideration. Mm-hmm. Kim?
I just wanted to say to Alejandro as well is that one of the reasons we didn't offshoot everything into the website was security issues, because private prayer requests, people don't want their information out there. Websites do get hacked all the time. We do not have the technology to encrypt everything, like how you would want to encrypt those types of things. So that's one of the reasons why we never, ever did that. I mean, we're already taking a risk with the emails and stuff like that. So we tried to limit that kind of possibility of information, private information, personal information, getting out or possibly getting into the hands of somebody that we didn't want them to.
But that does means that in the app will be more encrypted than in the website?
The app comes with an encryption.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are there any other questions regarding the budget?
Yeah, just, I was just wondering on the graph,
Uh-huh.
if you could just tell us what the different lines mean, like the very top line all by itself?
They're actually color-coded. My apologies.
No, it's okay. If you
Because of budgets, we did it in black and white because I knew you would see it online. But I think Bob can explain it because he always does these beautiful graphs after we get all the
Okay.
figures in. I'll let
Thank you.
Bob explain it.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, she's taking a picture. By the way, it's a little bit of a sneak peek ahead, but these slides will be available to anybody who asks for them.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
Bob.
electronically send
Yeah,
them and
we'll
you'll get them in
send
full
all
color.
the slides, and they'll be nice and in color to you. Again, because we're dealing with budgets and wanting to make sure that we're not expending something unnecessarily. I did them in black and white, I'm sorry, and it was just the budget page there. But yes, if you want all of the slides, email Bob or text Bob and he'll get it to you, because it's 32 slides total. Okay? Were there any other more budget questions? Yes.
Can someone speak to the expenses that we use or what we're using advertisement for?
The average, which one? The one that's going into?
So we've allotted $5,000.
We've allotted
this
$5,000.
year. Where did that money go to? What
It's-
kind of advertising did we use?
We didn't. I put on there that we actually did not get to use it. We
Okay.
thought we were going to get a chance to, but we didn't because we really didn't know what was going to be happening as far as what, with the COVID and everything.
Right.
But going into this year, going into 2022, since this is the online presence is the big thing and being present online, we've allotted $5,000 again for that. And remember, we still have enough in our reserves. If it goes above the 5,000, we have enough in reserves to cover that. But it's mainly going to cover this new app that we have to get and Google putting our presence. I think there's a thing you can do with Google to be the first when you pull up KSS or Messianic congregations for ours to be the first to come up.
I thought that was going to be like rolled into the webpage, the CEO stuff.
The SEO.
Yeah, the SEO.
So yeah, SEO, search engine optimization, could be the website. Could come out of that. It could come out of advertising. It sort of depends on where we need to take that out of. We did use a little, like an itty bitty bit of the advertising budget last year. We placed a listing in the Messianic Times, which is really the only Messianic newspaper that we have, today. And we will continue to do that. But that's like $240 for the whole year. So it's, like I said, it's an itty bitty fraction of it. The rest of it is going to be used for actual ads on Google, Facebook ads, other ways that we can increase our online presence, and we'll see what other places we need to do that for over the course of the year. We're open. We haven't made any decisions as to how we're going to spend it yet. So we're certainly going to be open to suggestions for those of you who have a marketing bend in you. We're certainly open to hearing from you as well. But we want to increase our presence.
Yeah, and that does tend to cost, but once we're out there, we're out there. Right. Okay, were there any other questions? Okay.
I just want to make a comment that probably some of that overture that we have in the budget is the non-spent budget.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want, the money didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
It's sitting in the checking account.
It's sitting in our
Just want to
reserve.
make sure it's accounted for.
Yeah.
It's just not been distributed. It's
Yeah.
still in the account.
I just want to say thank you, Chinete.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope I answered the questions that were great concerns. Tim, stop. Okay, so if that's it, I'll pass it back over to Rabbi. He could introduce Bob.
All right, thank you. Well, we do have business before we can move on. We have already had a discussion. I've already placed in the chat the opportunity for questions, and there have been no questions online regarding the budget. With that being the case, I need a motion to vote on the budget for 2022. Alejandro makes the motion. I need a second. Ginute is a second. Okay. So there is a motion on the floor to vote for the budget, to approve the budget for next year. Is there any other discussion before we actually vote? No more discussion. Then for members only, by a show of hands, who I need to see, all those in favor of approving this budget for 2022? Any nays? Any against? Any abstentions? Unanimously voted through. The budget passes for 2022. So now I want to introduce our congregation secretary, Bob Wallace.
All right, I'm just going to quickly review our membership and a little bit of comparing and contrasting between what we did this past year and relate that also to the prior year, just as a reference point. So with that, the next slide, our attendance history, which interestingly, your version is not showing the text box. That's okay. My electronic version has it, and like I said, all these slides will be available. But aside from the graphs that you see there, when it comes to the 2021, this past year or the current year that we're in, the average adult attendance, when you take all those lines and you average them out, or at least a singular line and average it out for the adults, that would be a count of 18 adults in-house on average. 18 adults in-house. Correspondingly in-house, the children's attendance on average in-house is 7. And you say, how can you figure that out so quickly? I'm gonna put this up. You may not be able to see it because this is you only had the budget slides, but there's a little text box that I had where I've calculated. I put this in a summary. So like I said, if you request the electronic version of these additional text box information will be there. Oh, yes, it will be in color. Oh, okay, well, sure. The adult is the top line, okay, the very top line. The children is actually the bottom line, the red, okay, and the green represents average online attendance, okay? Now, again, just a note when it comes to the online, that's a simple count of online instances. That doesn't necessarily mean each instance is one individual. Many times, one instance could be 2, 3, an entire family. So it's hard to gauge that specific number. So for now, I've been using just the instance count, but knowing that behind the scenes, it may actually represent more than one person when you talk about it from an online perspective. And of course, in my boxed version, just a little notation that the children represent about 25%. So depending on how you look at it, I could say we all need to have more children, but I won't go there. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, and the next slide is the actual 20. Oh, it shows up as you have to click the next part. Okay, all right. One of those PowerPoint. Yeah, I know. That would be me. Okay, let's go to the next slide and click one more time. There it is. Awesome. Okay, attendance comparison 20 versus 2021. Believe it or not, 2020 average, when you add in the singular online plus children and adults in-house, that all averaged out in 2020, the prior year, to 31. In 2021, the average is 34. So believe it or not, we actually have a couple, from an average perspective, a little more attending as a whole this past calendar year than the prior year. All across the board. The question was, he was asking if it was in-house. So the big number, 31 and 34, is just all of the 3 parts, if you will, all added together, whether that's adult in-house, children in-house, and online, just put together in one number. All right. Let's do the next here. All right, membership by the numbers. There we go. All right. If you recall from last year, our membership count at that time was 11 actual members. And our current membership as of 2021, actually we bounced up to 16. However, you will see the notation up there, 14 active, because we've had two people, at least at the time of this writing, there were at least two individuals. One of them moved away. And so they're not in the active category, but at least from a trend perspective, I'd like to at least say that there is, that activity, and that's not a bad thing, that there's more. Next slide. Membership, our role. There we go. And I do know that the rabbi is planning in the coming calendar year that there will be both. Well, technically, we'll just say they will be membership classes for those who have been partially through it. It's an opportunity for the makeup portion of the classes. But so whether you want to view it through the grid of makeup and regular, these classes will be offered this coming calendar year, and the rabbi will be working out those details in terms of the days and times. But when that does happen, there will be plenty of advance notice that if you wish to participate in that it is your opportunity. Also, excuse me, I'm just making a notation about making disciples. When it's all said and done, we talk about our role in it, and despite COVID, or maybe even especially because of COVID, I think our role in being part of God's process, in allowing God to be a tool that God is using in this world, I think those issues become really paramount, especially they become clarified. I mean, maybe in the years prior, before COVID, were a lot of us, no, I should point to me, it's very easy to get wrapped up in everything that you're in your family life and everything that needs to go on, but be remiss to say that, when God takes us a step back and say, okay, when we begin to see what's happening in the culture around us and all the craziness, that we do need to take a step back and say, okay, maybe some of the things that I'm doing maybe need to take a back seat to really focusing on what God is calling me to do, and among other things, regardless of individual talent and skill, it is to be part of His process and bringing light to the world in whatever form and capacity that is. And so we do have a role. God has called us to make disciples. God has called us to be a light into the world, regardless of wherever we are, what job we're in, what function we're in, wherever we are, grocery store, whatever, and to be that light. And so my prayer, as we talk about the membership issues as it relates to KSS, at the end of the day, we're continually mindful of our role in God's work, that we are part of God's work, and we just need to be open and willing and in a place in our own spiritual hearts and spiritual life to be able to hear what God is saying and be able to, as His Spirit moves, to be brave, to get over whatever fears we may have and start being willing to talk to people, strangers and friends, coworkers, etc. So with that, that is my report on membership. Any questions? Alejandro?
Given the new circumstances that we have, that we live at this moment with the COVID and everything, does closer like this? Okay, thank you. Given the new circumstances that we're living with COVID, could it be possible for someone who doesn't assist only online, turn into a member, or there's definitely is not an option? It's something that we consider or not?
So this has been, over the past 20 months, this has been a question that really all believers have had to sort of figure out. Right now at Kehilat Sar Shalom, there's two categories of member. There's an active member and there's an inactive member. If you are active in the congregation in some way, you're paying tithes, you're coming, you're regularly showing up on the online chat, then you're an active member. If you stop doing that for 6 months, like you don't show up at all, you don't open our emails, you don't tithe, you don't go on, you're not online, you don't attend any of our Bible studies, there's just no activity, you're not showing any interest in being part of the community, then you're automatically switched to inactive. At that point, we're supposed to reach out to you to find out if you want to stay a member or if you want to come on back and be an active member again. But really, there's an active and inactive. The only way you stop being a member is if, number one, you die. You die, you're no longer a member. Okay? And this comes straight from the Constitution and bylaws, straight from the bylaws. Number two, if under congregational discipline you are removed as a member for congregational discipline reasons. Or number three, you request to resign your membership because either you're moving away or you want to become a member of someplace else. Those are the ways that you stop being a member. What I have been thinking and praying about is a third category of membership, and that's online membership. The reason I've hesitated is because, especially if you guys are online and you're watching and you're just online people, regular online attendance qualifies you to be an active member. I'm not sure why there would need to be a difference. I'm certainly open to additional conversation, but the way it stands right now, even for people who are just online viewers, if you want to attend the congregational membership classes, and you make all 4 classes, and you sign the covenant membership agreement, then you're a member. And you don't have to be in person. You can be online as long as you maintain your activity with the congregation. There's no reason why purely online people can't be members also. If we were going to add that as an option, then it would require an amendment to our bylaws, which is fine. There are certain things that we want to change anyway and are considering, but that's something that we can talk about. But right now, I'm not convinced entirely that it's necessary, since they can become members already as long as they maintain their activity. Jeannie Tay.
Here you go. With that online, does that go for people that are out of state? Because if we increase our presence, we're going to get more people that are not local. They're going to be coming from different states. Does that still apply?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about people like Janice Hubble, who's out in California.
Right.
I'm thinking about people like Angela Wang, who has been joining us regularly for the past month, basically online only. She's in Phoenix. If they want to be members, they can, there's nothing stopping them. I mean, they still have to meet the same requirements as everybody else, but it doesn't ever say in our bylaws that activity or attendance has to be in person. It simply says that regular attendance, regular tithing, regular support, that kind of thing, which can be done online. The only issue would be that purely online people may not be able to serve in various capacities. Online can't serve as set up and tear down. Online members couldn't serve in the Oneg ministry. So there is a service issue that has to be sort of thought through. Which then also begs the question, would a purely online person be eligible for other roles in the congregation for which an in-person active member would, like shamash? Right now, I would have to say no, because a shamash is a servant. They're here to serve. In prayer, in setup and tear down, in AV ministry, in Oneg, in Shabbat School, in and whatever else have you. So I don't think that can be done online. That would be where the online member sort of category would be helpful, because then it's not an issue, because right now the qualifications say you have to be an active member. That would then apply to online members too, unless we had a separate online category. But those are things that we would have to work out.
But, if you end up doing an online like that, would they? If you were doing an online presence, would that include them voting rights if you did that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The other thing to think about that we need to talk about as a congregation with the whole Shamashim thing, because initially my response was no, but there are online things that people can participate and do, like newsletters and web developers and all of those types of things, apps, that if we somebody to manage the app, that an online person could be a Shamashim and do it remotely from some other location. So we have to have a robust discussion about these changes, because I think every church, every Messianic congregation, every establishment is wrestling with the same thing.
I think you're absolutely right. And Kim, you and I have had this conversation before, sort of separately, but the idea of even an online concierge or an online greeter as a shamash came up. So these are all, it's not as simple as, let's just, throw that out there. It's something I've been thinking about and praying about, and we're still talking in the discussion. Tim?
So since we're talking about that online membership, one of the benefits we have for showing up in person is to be ministered to, cared for in person. There's none of that for the online viewer, unless we start up some sort of online ministry, which is something we haven't had a discussion about, or maybe you guys have already discussed that. But if we're going to go down that road, that would be a Shamashim possibility too, as well.
You're absolutely right.
How we do that, where we go from there, we'll see.
I want to just comment about that, because taking it to the very next step, if we do this transition, add this component to our membership, to our ministry, to our people, because I do believe that we have an online community that's committed to us. I see them all the time. They come back every single week, and if they can't watch it live, they watch it, afterwards. And so I know that we have committed people that are committed to the congregation. There are ways to minister to people. It's not ideal to do it online. It's not ideal to do it through Zoom, but for people that live in California and Phoenix and other places like that, we do have the ability through Zoom. We learned this through the pandemic, that where there's a will, there's a way, that we will, that God can use all kinds of streams, all kinds of ways to minister to people. Granted, not ideal. Person to person is the best. However, this is definitely an option that we will be able to do. And maybe at some point we will have an elder that is assigned to online types of things like that, that is a care elder for the online people. That's kind of my vision.
Okay, so I hear you. I hear all of you. To the board, note that, and particularly to Bob, note that at our next board meeting, that needs to be part of our agenda. Are there any other questions or comments about the membership part, the attendance or membership part of this discussion? Online, if you have questions about the membership or attendance, now's the time to put them in the chat. Give you guys just another minute to type in any questions if you're online. But I, for one, just want you to know I appreciate all your comments about the online thing. Again, it really is something I have been praying a lot about. Kim and I have had a lot of discussions about. It's the future. this is the direction we're going. And as Gina Tay had mentioned, if we are going to look to expand our online presence, then we also need to expand our online service. Kim?
I just want to add to that. We have talked and prayed about this for a long time, especially 2020 opened our eyes to all of these different things. And in talking with other pastors and other Messianic leaders that are dealing with the same issue, it is the future. I think that this is God's way of preparing the church for days to come and making us connected when everything that the world is throwing at us, including the kitchen sink, is trying to separate us and to make us divided, that God will make a way where there is no way to bind us together and make unity. And online is one of the ways that he can do that, and we've seen that in our congregation. That we would not have survived 2020 without our live stream. We would be, and I just want to make a shout out to God about this. I mean, there are people that were a part of that process, but we were prepared in advance. We're a little tiny congregation, small, we would be insignificant in a lot of people's eyes. Like, we don't really have any purpose. I mean, we're small, but we know that that's not God's way. God's way is different than that. He takes the small and makes amazing things out of it. Our congregation, prior to 2020, was already going for an online presence. Already, the seeds were already planted, and the germination had already started for those seeds to grow into something, and we were already established. God drew the people here. God started the ministry, and we were like, okay, we're like 25 people. Let's go online, whatever, that's fine. We really did, Neil and I really didn't see all of that at the time, and that's fine, but God had already prepared and took care of the situation so that when that happened in March of last year, when everything had to go online, we were ready, able, and doing it, where other churches maybe didn't heed that and didn't listen, that don't exist anymore. So never think that God isn't active. Even in our small circles that we're in, God can do amazing things, and we're reaching people all over the world. Our little congregation has big purpose.
Amen. Anything else? All right, there will be no questions online in the live chat, so we're moving on to the elders and Shamashim. For those of you who do not know, I am at this point, the only elder in the congregation. The other board members are what we have called in our bylaws non-elder directors. The elders, when there are elders, they serve for an indeterminate period of time until such time as they either resign, are removed for disciplinary action, or pass away. Okay? The non-elder directors serve for 3-year terms. Right now, we have 3 non-elder directors, as I mentioned earlier. It's Craig Metzer, who is not present at the time, Bob Wallace, who's our secretary, and Gina Tay Thomas, who is our treasurer. All 3 of our non-elder directors are up for re-election today. The process goes that the non-elder directors are voted on by the board and then presented to the congregation for confirmation. All 3 of our non-elder directors, Bob Walls, Craig Metzer, and Gina Tay Thomas, were unanimously voted back in. They've all decided, they've all agreed to serve for another term. What we need now is we need to confirm that with a vote of the voting members of the congregation. It requires did you have a question? Okay, hold that. I'll come right back. In order to re-elect the non-elder directors to the board, it requires a 3/4 vote of the voting members that are present. So just keep that in mind. With 7 voting members present, that means that 4.8 of you must vote positively in order to confirm the candidate. Before we move on to the actual vote, I want to put on the table a motion to vote on the 3 non-elder directors at the same time. What that would mean was that a yay vote would be a yay vote for all 3, a nay vote would be a nay vote for all 3. I want to put that motion on the table. Do you have any questions about what I'm asking? Correct. We're going to have to vote on the ability to vote first. All right, so Kim makes the motion. Alejandro seconded, sorry, he was vocal, you were visual. And the motion is to accept a yay or nay vote on all 3 candidates simultaneously. All in favor of the simultaneous vote? Okay. Any against the simultaneous vote? Any abstent? 1 against? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay, the simultaneous vote is passed. You will reflect the 1 nay vote in the record. Okay, so moving forward then, the 3 candidates are Craig Metzer, Gina Tay Thomas, and Bob Wallace. All 3 have unanimously been voted on by the board and accepted by the board, and they have all accepted the position again. What I need is a motion to vote for these candidates for non-elder director. So this one, Alejandro was the motion, and Kim was the second. Remember, a yay vote is for all 3. A nay vote is for all 3 as well. Let me know when you're ready, Bob. All right, so all in favor of confirming all 3 of our current non-elder directors for another 3-year term, raise your hand. Okay, all against? Any abstentions? Okay, the record will reflect that. So all 3 candidates for non-elder director are reconfirmed. That is for another 3-year term. And now we'll come to the Shamashim. Shamashim also serve for an undetermined period of time based on their standing within the congregation. Our current Shamashim are Don and Tim Petersburg, Kim Saraski, and Alejandro Pardo. Okay. I have not heard from any of them, nor do I expect it, that they are resigning, so they will continue in their service. However, this is the opportunity to nominate and vote on new Shamashim. Remember that Shamashim are servants in the congregation. They are the ones who are doing the practical ministry. This is sort of in Acts, the difference between the elders and the Shamashim. The elders are taking care of the spiritual life of the congregation, where the Shamashim are taking care of the physical stuff. So I want to open the floor at this point to any nominations for Shamash. Kim?
I would like to nominate Ryan Leach.
Okay. Is there a second? There are plenty of seconds, thirds, fourths, and fifths. Okay. The question now becomes, Ryan, do you accept the nomination?
It's okay if you don't.
And for those of you who are watching at home, I'm staring right at you because Ryan's the man behind the camera. So he has accepted the nomination. Shamish, the Shamish position, okay, only requires a majority vote of the voting members present. With 7 voting members present, that means only 3.5 of you need to agree. So what I need is a motion to vote on Ryan Leach's Shamish status. Gina Tay says motion. I need a second. Stanley says second. Okay. So is there any discussion? No. Then the motion is to vote for Ryan Leach as Shamish for KSS. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that vote is unanimous. No abstentions, no nay votes. Congratulations, Ryan.
Congratulations.
Are there any other nominations for Shamish?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does somebody have to be present to be nominated?
Yes, because they have to accept it, and there has to be, the vote. So
So I already knew the answer to that. I was saying that for the benefit of everybody else, just so you know.
Yes.
So unless someone's here, you can't nominate them.
all right, any other questions, any other nominations? Very well. Moving on. The ministry update, I would love to be able to have all of our ministry leaders come up here and share with you updates on each of the ministries. Over the past year, there's been very little activity other than the visible ministries that you've seen. We don't have Oneg. We don't have Shabbat School. The women's, the women's ministry has been mostly inactive, as has the men's ministry. The Bible study has been mostly inactive for most of this year. We did have a Bible study earlier in the year. We took the break during the summer, and then after the holidays. That now has resumed with Brother Bernard, which I'm excited about, and it was really very encouraged. Kim and I were both really encouraged by the number of people who joined us on Wednesday. It was really good. Hopefully there will be more, and hopefully those of you who are watching online will also join us for the Bible studies on every other Wednesday. What I am considering is in the alternate Wednesdays, beginning in January, is to do a membership class and see what we can get through. That's for 4 Wednesdays. It'll be alternating with the Bible study. So that would end up being January and February. Stay tuned for that. I'm not 100% decided on that yet, but that's coming. As far as other ministry updates, I want to share with you what we have discussed as a board regarding Oneg. Oneg is a wonderful thing. It's a delight. In fact, Oneg means delight.
Can you explain to people online that may not know what Oneg is?
Sure.
What we do at Oneg?
Sure. The Oneg is our after-service luncheon, basically, where people are supposed to bring dishes, enough for a number of people, and then we basically feed everybody. What ends up happening is that people bring stuff, and then 1 or 2 people end up preparing it, heating it up, serving it, setting it up, cleaning it up, everything like that, and it becomes a tremendous burden on 1 or 2 people that I am unwilling at this point to resume on a regular basis. What we're going to do, beginning in 2022, is on the last Shabbat of the month, and please, Gina Tay or Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, the last Shabbat of the month will be a fellowship meal, okay? That means you bring, if you come in person, you can bring food for people, for the congregation. Okay? We'll set it up. We'll set up the tables outside like we used to do, or in the fellowship hall. We'll eat. But I want to be very, very clear. Not having had it for a year plus, I've gotten okay with not having it. If it starts to become a burden again, okay, I will have no problems going back to not doing it at all. This has to be an even deal where people, if you bring your food, you bring your dishes, when we're all starting to clean up, you grab your dish, you clean your dish, or you take it home with you dirty and you clean it at home. Okay? This, or what? Or bring disposable dishes that can just be thrown away. Okay? So beginning again in January 2022, we will start having oneg the last Shabbat of every month. I'm looking forward to that as long as we can avoid it being burdensome for anybody. You know, it's going to be a delight. It's going to be a delight for la-di-da-di. Everybody. It has to be that way. One of the other things that had been suggested is that one Shabbat a month, we do something like we had done, I guess it was a number of months ago, where we all went out to a particular restaurant. That was July. Okay, that was a lot of fun, where we just all went together to a restaurant and just hung out. We it was Dutch, so everybody paid for themselves, and we just all went out and just celebrated. We had a good time together, fellowshipping. I loved the idea of family that Brother Bernard brought up in the message. It's still resonating with me that we are a family and we should be spending time together as a family and hanging out and doing stuff. And this is one way to do that. So that's what I'm going to suggest. And if not everybody wants to go, but only a few people want to go, great, go. Have fun. But enjoy each other's company. So that's sort of by way of ministry update what I wanted to share with you, which is why we added a $350 line item for oneg supplies this coming year. We will. Did you have a question? Okay. So the $350 will cover like paper goods, coffee, and bagels. That the money for the challah should also come out of that budget, because that'll be part of that. Everything else that is going to come for or with the oneg will be provided by the congregation, the congregants, I should say, not by the congregation. So that's all I have. Kim, your question?
Well, my question is for the ministry update. I mean, we do have ministries that have been put on pause, and the goal and the hope is to reactivate them, especially in this upcoming year because things are changing. This year was kind of like a buffer year after 2020 that we're just navigating what we need and what we want. And so, but there are other ministries that we are talking about. I mean, I handle the newsletter. I also handle, I handle a lot of different things, the music and different things like that. But when it comes to Facebook page and media and all of that stuff, I'm always looking for help. If people want to help with that, that would be great. That would be a perfect position for somebody who is an online attendee. The other thing is with the institution of an app and some of those other things that we're doing, those are also great opportunities for our online attendees and possible members in the future that could participate. So please keep your mind open, pray about the different areas that maybe God might want you to work and to serve in. Like we've already established, you don't have to be present to do some of these things, but there are some ministries obviously you have to be present for. So just be open to what God has, and He'll speak to your heart, and there'll be lots of opportunities for service in the upcoming year.
Agreed. And one of those other opportunities, thank you for reminding me about other opportunities, is Shabbat School. We don't have a whole lot of little kids right now, but we want to have things in place when they come. We have to act as if the rain is coming, prepare for the rain, prepare for the heart, whatever, and prepare for it. And so we will need teachers too. We've got somebody who has volunteered to, at least had before the pandemic, had volunteered to lead the ministry, but we're still going to need teachers. It can't be, no ministry should fall on one person, just one person. So it's just another opportunity to serve in the congregation. Again, that's the kind of thing that can't be done online. Alejandro?
Could it be possible to have teachers online?
Teachers online?
Yeah.
No.
You need an adult in the room with the children. They can't be by themselves. It's, yeah, but having somebody like, I don't know, I mean, that's something, I think that we're already stretching ourselves already with the online stuff. I think we need to take it in bite sizes, not in gulps. And so let's just take it one thing at a time, get the Shabbat School up and running, and then we can address some of those issues. But that's something to definitely think about for the future.
Right, listen, I appreciate the dialogue. I do want to make sure that we are all aware of the need for physical connection, okay? We can look, bottom line is, if we decided we want to, we can shut the whole thing down and go all online and just be an online church or congregation and not meet together and just do it online. I don't think that's what God wants. God says, don't forsake the fellowship of believers. And that's in-person contact, being with each other. Human beings need that. We crave that. That's why this past 2 years have been so difficult, because we've been isolated. In fact, when I get to the mission for this year, that's part of the reason the mission is so critical. We need to be with other people. And I am not willing at this point to push everything online. And I'm just not willing. I do not feel that that's where God is leading us. So certain things online I think are necessary and good. But everything, I don't think that's the way God is leading. I'm sorry, I don't. All right, anything else about ministry, the ministry updates? All right, then I want to get into the calendar and then finish up, and we should be out of here in the next 10 minutes, which is good, which is what we said. All right, starting towards the beginning of next year, the first holiday is Purim. Purim begins on March 16th, which is a Wednesday evening at sundown, and ends on sundown Thursday, March 17th. Last year, what we wanted to do is we wanted to do a dinner and a movie. We didn't get to do that. So I am hoping that this year, on Wednesday, March 16th, which is after the Bible study ends, I believe. The Bible study ends in February. Right. So this is after that. So hopefully Wednesday evening, March 6th, we'll gather together here. We'll do dinner and a movie, and we'll watch One Night with the King. But for your calendars, Purim begins the evening of March 16th and ends March 17th on Thursday. Passover or Pesach begins sundown Friday, April 15th. Okay? It is a 7-night festival. You can count them yourselves. The last night is Friday night, April 22nd. The scripture says the first night will be a holy convocation. The last night will be a holy convocation, which is why traditionally we have celebrated our Passover Seder together on the last night. Everybody does the first night. Nobody does the last night. We wanted to make sure that people who had the opportunity or wanted to have the opportunity to celebrate it in the biblical fashion did, so we typically have it on the last night. The last night of Passover is Friday, April 22nd. That will be our Passover Seder. Right now, my plan is to have it right here. start inviting people now. Start publicizing it now, making sure your family and your friends that you want are putting it on the calendar so that we can have as many people as we can here. Kim?
All I want to say about Passover as well is, yes, start inviting your friends, but understand there will be a cap.
Yes.
So we can start a list of people, and we can keep the list for those people to attend. But there will be a cap. I mean, there's a limit to what we can put in the room. And we also like to limit it because we like it to be intimate, and we like it to be very family-oriented. And we have done huge Passover Seders at KSS. This is predating, maybe Gina Tay and Stanley are the only ones, but where 250, 300 people would come. But you lose something in that mass, huge room. It was lovely, but it wasn't family. It felt like a presentation. We like to keep it intimate, where it's like we're breaking bread together, just like the Last Supper, where he sat with his people, and
Right.
he shared the festival with. So there will be a cap. If you are interested, then start getting your list together and give that to us soon, because once the first of the year hits, it will go quickly. And I think we've capped it before at like 60 people or 70 people. So it's not, I mean, and when we have 25 people in our congregation already, that number gets, filled very quickly. So just remember that. And also, the rabbi mentioned about the first day of Passover being a convocation. In Jewish tradition, it is a time to celebrate it in your home with your family. So we want to encourage every single person to spend time with their family members and invite people to your home and have a Seder. And if you don't want to put on a Seder, then get together with a group of people and do a collective Seder together. So there's lots of options. So, that's why we don't do it on the first. Most congregations will do it on the first, but the last, which is also a holy convocation, has always gotten overlooked, and people just don't pay attention to it. We felt very strongly that that's where we put our emphasis. So please don't forsake the first one, the first night of Passover either.
Right. The other, and something I want to tack on to something that you were saying too, we do want it to be intimate, and that's important to us. But in the same way that we don't want the oneg to be this, we don't want Passover to be a burden to anybody either, which means that when we do start putting out the requests for people to help with Pesach, okay, our Seder, please sign up early, sign up often. Okay, the more people that sign up to help, the less burden it is on any one particular person. And trust me, I have watched Kim, put the whole thing, the Ganze Megillah, on almost by herself, and it just about killed her. In fact, for a number of years, she said, I will never, ever, ever do this again. Now, she always did, but, I won't have that burden be put on one particular person. If there aren't enough people to put it on, we don't need to put it on. Okay? I'm just putting that out there now. We need your help. We can plan all these things, but if you guys aren't willing to help and serve, then, that says something to us as the leadership. So, well, they're not willing to do it, then we don't need to do it.
So I just want to say, since it was primarily me that did most of those things, yes, it is a lot of work. However, when we do put the committees together, it is light work when multiple people are involved. So don't feel that it's going to be a huge burden for you either. It's just a little piece of that pie. And when we do get those committees, those sign-up sheets set out for like putting the Seder plates together or helping with setup, helping with tear down, that kind of stuff, if we all just do a little tiny piece of that, then it's easy peasy lemon squeezy, which is my saying. Yours is la-di-da-di everybody, and mine's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, we will be able to get it done, and you will feel better for doing it. I just want to say that. Everybody, when we work together, God is in the midst of us. It isn't just when we're sitting here worshiping and singing and doing prayers and all that stuff. When we are working, rolling up our sleeves, actual work, God is in the midst of us, and we are blessed for that.
Amen. So just keep all those words in mind the beginning of next year when all those sign-up sheets go out. All right, the next holiday is Yom Hashoah. I don't call it a holiday, but it's Holocaust Remembrance Day. That's Thursday, April 28th. My recommendation is that we get together a group of people who want to go down to the Holocaust Museum to just to remember and walk through there. Admissions is free. Groups of 40 or more require reservations. I would highly doubt we're going to have 40 or more, but that would be something to think about as we get there.
I am going to recommend that we do a reservation because Holocaust Remembrance time is when it's the busiest. So we will be putting out a list for people to sign up for it, and then we will be securing a tour spot for ourselves because otherwise you'll be waiting in line for hours.
Okay. Chag HaShavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks, is Saturday, begins sundown, Saturday, June 4th. Ends on sundown, June 5th. In terms of how we're going to celebrate that, I want to defer that to my last comment regarding our vision for next year, but put it on your calendar. June 4th to June 5th is Shavuot, Feast of Weeks. In the fall, Rosh Hashanah or Yom Teruah. Yom Teruah begins Sunday, September 25th. As early as it was this year, it is that late next year. Okay? So this is the very end of September, which means that Yom Kippur won't be until the beginning of October. Just keep that in mind. All right, so Rosh Hashanah begins sundown, Sunday, September 25th. You can put these on your calendar. Erev Rosh Hashanah service will be 7 o'clock p.m. on September 25th. Our Rosh Hashanah morning service will be 10:45 a.m. on Monday the 26th. And Tashlich will be 1:30 p.m., which is after services on the 26th. Can I put it onto your calendar to make a reservation real early for that day so we don't end up having problems? As soon as I figure out how to do that.
It used to be linked to our Google, but when we upgraded the website, some of those things did not go over, so we need to fix that. But yes.
It might still be, but I have to figure out how to do that too. Yes, those things will eventually go. You know what? What I will do is I will talk to Dan and I will have him put them all on there.
Yep.
We're paying him for that anyway, so we'll.
Sounds like a.
Yep, I'll shoot an email to Dan. All right, so that's Yom Teruah. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, begins sundown Tuesday, October 4th. Our Erev Yom Kippur service will be 6:30 p.m. on October the 4th. It's a little bit earlier because it's a weekday. People are at work. People have to be at work the following day unless they're taking off, which is what I would recommend. One of the reasons why we do this is that you know what days you need to be taking off next year. All right, so Erev Yom Kippur, 6:30 p.m. on October 4th. The morning service, 10:45 a.m. on October 5th.
Neil?
Yes.
In the past, what we've done for those people, because often people will come here right after work, is that we have had a gathering to eat because it's a fasting holiday. So we either tell them to bring food and they can eat, or we have food available for them to eat before the service. Is that something to consider since it's it's during the week?
Yeah, we can absolutely consider that. Right now, I'm just sort of giving the dates, but yeah, those
Okay.
details we can certainly do that.
I know, but I'm putting it out there. It's in the notes, so we know what to talk about.
Yep.
Okay.
The observance of Yom Kippur will continue with the interactive Jonah study at 3 o'clock on the 5th. Ne'ilah will be 6 o'clock p.m. on the 5th, and the break fast will be immediately following. I am very much hoping that we can do a large break fast this year. We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get there. Chag HaSukkot, Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, begins Sunday, October 9th. Remember, Chag HaSukkot is the only 7-day festival that lasts for 8 days. You can do the count yourself. So our celebration will be at Shabbat services on the 15th, October 15th. That's the Shabbat. Chag Chanukah,
It's so late.
Feast of Dedication, okay, begins Sunday, December 18th. That's the first candle. It's an 8-day festival.
The last 8 days.
The last 8 days. So if it starts on the 18th, it ends on what day? At 8. That's a hint. The 26th.
Yeah.
So Hanukkah will overlap with Christmas next year. Christmas. So our festival, our celebration will be on Shabbat 12/24. All right. Lastly, I have been very, very touched by the idea that isolation is contrary to what God intends for his people on so many different levels. Okay? When we look at Romans 12:5, this is the Apostle Paul writing to the congregation in Rome, and he says in Romans 12:5, we who are many, again, that's la-di-da-di, everybody, are one body in Messiah. Now, who is he talking to? Who is the we? Believers, everybody, all of us in this congregation, right? No, all believers everywhere, not just in this congregation, not just in Maryland, not just on the East Coast, not just in the United States. We all believers everywhere are part of the body of Messiah. Kim and I had the incredible opportunity to go to the Messianic Leadership Roundtable in the middle of November. The last one they're ever having in that format. But it really was an experience that brought so many different people from so many different places together. The theme was unity. And I'm concerned we don't have it. We barely have it here, just amongst us. We do the very best we can because we're spread out all over the place. You know, we come together once a week on Shabbat together, but we're even now giving more and more opportunities for us not to be together. We come together for a Bible study once a week, or once right now every other week on Wednesday, and even then we're not really physically together. We see our faces sometimes. Sometimes when we're not dressed, we just turn the video off and we just listen, you know. But we're not really together. This year, I want us to focus on togetherness. Yes, absolutely, with each and every one of us and doing things together and getting together and seeing one another, you know, as physically as we can, safely, but also with other Messianic congregations, with other churches. I want to see us really being the body of Messiah and being together with other people. And not being our own little rock off in the middle of Leesburg all by ourselves, trying to do this ourselves. We don't have to do this ourselves. We don't have to do this walk by ourselves. We don't have to do this journey by ourselves. We're not being written into this story by ourselves. There are other characters all over the place. And so some of the things we're going to do this year are really, I hope, going to encourage that. And here's two. Okay? Number one is Simcha. Simcha is the Messianic Retreat that happens over Memorial Day weekend every year. What we have done in the past is we have actually shut services down so that we can all go to Simcha and celebrate together and have a good time at Simcha, in the past. We have services at Simcha that Shabbat. It's always over Memorial Day weekend. It starts Friday evening with a Shabbat dinner, and then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because Monday's Memorial Day, we leave Monday after brunch or breakfast. It's not that expensive. It's much less expensive than a lot of other retreats that I've seen. And I want to encourage it. It's a Chosen People Ministries sponsored event, but there are other congregations there. There are other organizations there and other believers there from all over the place. So that's one of the things I really want to do. We're going to shut our services down over that weekend, and we're all going to go up to Simcha, if you can. I hope you make those plans now. Put that on your calendar now. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is Memorial Day weekend, and it's not far. It's at Philip Bongiorno Conference Center in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It's probably about an hour and 15 minutes from here. About 2 hours from here? I didn't think it was quite. I thought it was straight up. Okay. All right. So, but still, make those plans now. The other thing is, like some of the holidays, we don't need to celebrate all by ourselves. Shavuot is a great opportunity, and in years past, we've gotten together with another congregation, and we've done like a fish fry, or something special like that together. Huh?
Picnic.
A picnic, yeah. So that we're celebrating together, and we're not just out there on our own. So those are the kinds of things I'm looking forward to. I would love to be able to do something maybe with Faith AME for something. Just a get together. Maybe we do an outreach together. Okay. Faith African Methodist Episcopal Church is the home church of our brother Bernard. I have spoken there, and I've been friends with the pastor there for many years. And maybe we do that. Maybe we do a joint outreach together. Just something to be together with other people, other bodies, and I think that's really going to drive the vision and the focus for this particular year. That's really it. I want to give you guys the opportunity for any other questions or comments.
I just wanted to say that one of the things that you said in the PowerPoint, and I don't think you said it audibly, but that the isolation, coming out of isolation is what the vision is. So I really want to give words to that and give, say that out loud. I know you said everything about that, but really that is the vision.
Right, breaking out of isolation.
Breaking out of isolation is the vision for 2022. So that can mean that's collectively together as a congregation, but then it's also individually as well. Opening up our homes like you were talking about. Yes, we can't always collectively as a congregation get together, but we used to be very good about just opening our doors of our houses, inviting people over for dinner, inviting people over for holidays, different things like that. Spend some time together with your brothers and sisters. I think it's really important that we get back into the habit of those things. I know that we safely, as we navigate some of these circumstances and we're coming out of some of these things, invite people over if you feel comfortable enough to do those things. Absolutely.
Alejandro?
This is more a question. Is there any type of activities that we can consider to spread the word to the Jew and the Greek as a congregation?
Okay, so evangelistic opportunities is what you're asking about. Are there opportunities? Of course there are. That's something that I would love to be able to explore in the new year. It's not something we were able to do much over the past couple of years. 'Cause, that's usually out and about one-on-one or in-person kinds of ministries. But I would love to explore that idea further with you. We have traditionally looked for an outreach coordinator, but that's something that we can certainly talk about. Kim?
Something that the Church of Holy Spirit, which is the congregation that we run from here, what they do is they do festivals that are in the Leesburg area or in the Northern Virginia area where you rent a table or you participate in that festival. Is that something we could possibly do? I know that we've also been asked to participate in the marathon Bible reading, the marathon Bible reading that's right around Shavuot every year. In fact, I think it is during Shavuot that they plan it. Maybe we need to be doing more community type things where we're involved in the local community because I don't think people know that we're here. So if we rented a table out at a festival, we just have us there and like meet and greet, hi, people walk by and we hand out cards or whatever. And, I know another congregation, something that they did during the summer, it was the Messianic congregation, is that they were in areas of the local city and they were handing out water bottles in the summer. It's hot. And on the water bottle they had taped on the congregation's information, just that this is from, Yeshua loves you. I want to give you some water,
So is that something we can do? Absolutely.
Those are the types of things I'm thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love all of that. We can do that. We can purchase some literature and put that on a table or a book table or something. We can do that too. There are plenty of opportunities like that that we can explore.
But if we do it, I want to do it big. I want to have matching T-shirts. I want us to be together. I'm just saying this has been very successful with other congregations when they've done this type of endeavors where they actively, I talked with Pastor Clancy about this. That's why they do some of those things that, they've mentioned that they go and they do blessings over dogs and different people's pets, and they pray for people's pets and stuff like that.
Barktoberfest.
Yeah, Barktoberfest. And so they go to those things, but it gives them an insight to the community, to outreach. I mean, God uses everything. I mean, what seems foolishness to us may not be to God, and God knows what to draw people with. And he shared that he had multiple people that have learned about their congregation through those types of, we got to think outside the box, but those types of events. And it's given them a platform to be able to share the gospel with people that they would never even really be able to share the gospel with. People who are not believers, you go up to them and ask them, can I pray for your dog? And they let you pray for the dog. And he said, before you know it, you're praying for the person next. So it's just a doorway, an opening. I know it seems silly, but it's not. God is all about the silly and the things that we think are foolish, where we shouldn't just look at that and size it up and label it something, where God can use it in a way to reach somebody for his sake.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Anyone online? Comments, questions about anything we've spoken today?
One more thing. Tim, you had your brochure there about the shofar, right? Questions about the shofar? But I have seen in events where Messianic congregations have gone into different events with the shofar and start blowing the shofar, and people come up and ask questions about it. I mean, they've got to start thinking outside of the box, make our presence known. People are inquisitive. People want to learn about these things.
That's true. That I can tell you that firsthand. We were ministering to a young Israeli couple in Fair Oaks Mall, and it was Rosh Hashanah, and I brought the shofar in and blew it in the mall against their wishes. I wasn't next to their shop. I went to the second store, and I blew it out in one of those middle parts, and it echoed around and such. And I wish I had a bunch of these brochures that you have right now at your disposal. But the number of people that came up and asked, what is that, was astounding. Regular Gentiles, and the whole motivation was to bless those who really know what the shofar is. But there's an additional blessing for those who hear it for the first time and for a first time again. So it's something I think you have a growing congregation of maybe shofar blowers, or maybe we could probably grow some. Yeah, it's not that hard.
My last comments about all of that is just to encourage everyone to think outside the box. If this is going to be breaking out of isolation, I know that's been very heavy on the rabbi's heart. It's been on my heart too, but he's carried that around for months, been praying about this, is that God will inspire us to do some incredible things. And it may look like foolishness to some people, but who cares, right? We need to trust that God is going to do all, there's all kinds of ways that we can reach the community. It isn't, walking with yes, you can go with your Bible and you can but sometimes it's in a very indirect way that you can share the gospel and make our presence known in the community. I do think that that is a part of what God is calling us to for the next year, is more community-minded, reaching out, going to these things, being a part of the community, making our presence known so that they know that we're here. And it isn't, we need to be minded that way, thinking that way. So if you have some ideas, for those of you at home, for those of you that are here, if you all of a sudden God gives you an inspiration, right now we don't have to talk about all those things, we did talk about some of them, email the rabbi. Shoot him one. Like, maybe God will wake you up in the middle of the night and you had this crazy dream, and then you're like, well, maybe that might work. Write it down, send it to the rabbi, and then the board can talk about it, and we can see what God can do with some of these crazy thoughts that we might have, that where it may win some for his case, and it may make people know who we are, and they can find us.
It's been a long time since I've interpreted dreams, though. The last time, I think, was right before I was in prison. No, kidding. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you guys for bearing with. We went a little bit long, but we also started a little bit late. Who's got the microphone? Great. Would you pray us out?
Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, you are amazing to us. You love us no matter who we are, what we've done, or where we're going. Your blessings upon us are daily. All we need to do is just look around us. You've blessed this congregation greatly. You've held us together, and you've grown us over the last 2 years. We thank you, Father, for protecting us, for feeding us, for all your provisions. And we ask, Lord, that those that are listening, those that are yet to listen and come, that you would shower your love on them as well as you have shown us. We ask, Lord, for a special blessing upon Rabbi Neil and Rebbetzin Kim as they lead this congregation into 2022, and upon all the board members for their leadership, their spiritual leadership, and especially upon Bernard. What a great message that was today. Thank you, Father. We ask all these things in your precious Son's name, B'Shem Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. Last thing of business is I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Gina Tay. Who needs to second it? Alejandro. Wonderful. All in favor of adjourn? Unanimous. This meeting is now closed. Thank you guys all for coming. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. God bless you guys. We'll see you next Shabbat. God bless.